Hi, I'm Jesse with Canine Perspective, and we're here with another tutorial video. This one's going to cover finding the appropriate fit for your dog. So this is a Hermspringer prong collar. If you get a prong collar, I suggest just getting a Hermspringer. You can't find these in most stores or big kind of warehouse type superstores, pet superstores. You can get these online. They run about as low as $16 to $32, and there's different types of metals. So this one is Millie's. I actually added more links to make it quite a bit bigger so that you have a visual. So this is not meant for her size, but this is to show you that if you have your collar fitted incorrectly, if you put it on the dog, you're going to see how it kind of hangs here, and it's loose. Okay, we don't want it to be this loose. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust it now. And the new Hermspringers, they come with a center plate right here in the middle. And you want to keep that plate in the middle as much as possible. So when you're removing links, you want to keep it even on each side. Now I know hers is 4 on each side because I added 2 to each. So I'm going to remove those 2. There's 2 there. And I'll go over how to removing prongs and all that stuff in another video. So now I've removed 4 prongs total, 2 on each side, again, to keep that plate centered. Okay, so if this was still too big, I would remove 1, and then if it was still too big, I would remove another, and just keep going side to side. So once I put this on here, it's fitted snugly, where it's not so easy to turn the collar, but there's still some give here for me to apply pressure with the leash if I were to clip one to the live ring here, okay? So that the prong, when you pull the leash, acts as like constricting pressure. So here, if it's too tight, the prongs are always in the neck and the dog doesn't understand what's going on, or it's too loose and you pull the chain, you won't get anything out of it. There's no constriction. So you also want to fit it at the very top of the dog's neck here. Just behind the ears. You do not want it at the base of the dog's neck, okay? If it's falling to the base of the dog's neck, it might be a little too big. In some cases, like with certain dog breeds, the neck is just thin that it'll just, or kind of the same size all the way through that it'll keep sliding down. And you just adjust it and then keep your leash. And then as you get used to using it, you'll develop the skill to keep the collar up in place with using your leash, okay? Now, prong collars are known for unclasping during a correction. It's not common. It's not, it doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen. In my 10 years of training, I've had it happen to me during the training session like twice, and I've had it happen to a couple of dog owners, while they're working with their dog a handful of times. So it can happen, not super common. So what we suggest is that if you're using a prong collar and you're applying corrections and stuff, is that you also use a slip chain. Now this isn't the one meant for her, and this is actually not the correct one, but this is all I had. So when you do the slip chain, this one here, as you can see, fits like just right. And I actually put this on incorrect technically, but so the reason for this is if I take my leash and I clip it to both here, if this happened to come undone, I have a backup. Okay, the dog's not going to escape from this. When you do the slip chain, you actually want the slip chain to be considerably looser. I suggest about maybe down to here for a dog like Millie, because if I pull up on the leash, it's going to catch the slip as well. And since this slip is not fitted correctly, it's catching her neck, which doesn't let me get the full constriction of the prong collar. So the reason for having it looser is it allows you to still correct your dog with the prong without inhibiting it. Okay, so you want a much looser chain, so that's hanging a little bit lower, because that's just your backup. That's just in case if the prong happens to come undone, your dog's not going to get off leash and like take off on you. Okay, that's a secondary. So I suggest that people do that. I've also seen some dog owners, they'll take a carabiner and they'll take it here and they'll clip it to like this here. I'm not a big fan of that approach because it inhibits the corrections, and you want this to not have any kind of restraints. You want this to be able to operate fully. So a slip chain that's size a little bit too big So it hangs down low, and you're clipping your leash to both of these things. And there's now leashes that have 2 clips. So then, if your leash happened to break, you still have the backup. So there's a lot of ways of going about it. There's no right or wrong, in my opinion. I've had many people or client use a prong collar just like this by itself and not have any issues. It's really just personal preference. If you like having that security, those are a couple of options that you have. You have a carabiner, you have a 2-clip leash, or you just clip the 1 leash to the 2, and in case this goes off, you're not worried because you have the backup. So that's how we find the fitting for a prong collar. Again, you want to keep that center plate in the middle as much as possible. Okay, it should not be falling to the bottom of your dog's neck like jewelry. And if you feel like you've taken away too many prongs, these do come in different sizes. This is a 2.25. Then there's a 3 millimeter, then it's a 3.3, and then I believe there's like a 4 millimeter. And then there's what's called the micro prong, which is meant for like small, like little teacup sized dogs. The most common are the 2.25 and the 3 millimeter. I don't like going above 3 millimeters because I find that it takes away from the correctional bite. I much rather use a 2.25 for dogs like her size up to about 60 to 70 pounds. And at that point, you can transition to a 3 millimeter, depending on preference for the much larger dogs. So I'm Jesse with Canine Perspective. This was about fitting your prong collar, and thank you for watching.